There's a quiet question a lot of men are carrying right now. They don't always say it out loud, but it sounds like this. What does it actually mean to be a man? Not what people say online, not what gets attention, not what looks impressive, but something real, something stable. Because if you look closely, a lot of men today are not lacking effort. They're lacking clarity. The hidden problem. Most men are trying to become something stronger, more confident, more respected, but the direction isn't always clear, so they reach for what's visible, lift heavier, earn more, look sharper, act tougher, and none of these things are bad. But here's the issue. They don't answer the real question. They don't tell you who you are, because masculinity has slowly been reduced to performance, and performance can be learned, but identity has to be built. Most men are not confused because they are weak. They are confused because they are performing. They are trying to look like a man instead of becoming one. So they chase external signals: muscle, money, status, validation. But none of these things answer the deeper question. Who am I really? Because identity is not built from what you show others. It is built from what you stand for internally. Performance without identity leads to confusion. The two things that actually matter. If you strip everything down, masculinity becomes much simpler. Not easier, but simpler. A man needs two things: clarity and courage. Let's break that down. One, clarity. Knowing what you stand for. Most men never slow down long enough to ask, what do I actually believe? Not what I was told, not what gets approval, not what avoids conflict. What do I believe is right? And this is harder than it sounds, because most of what you think was given to you by family, by culture, by social pressures. So before a man can stand for something, he has to sort through what isn't his. That takes time, that takes honesty, that takes discomfort. You cannot stand for something if you don't know what it is, and many men don't. They move through life reacting instead of choosing, agreeing instead of deciding, avoiding instead of defining. But clarity changes everything. When a man knows what he values, his decisions become simpler, his boundaries become clearer, his presence becomes stronger, because he is no longer adjusting himself to fit the room. He is anchored. Clarity creates stability. What happens when you stand? The moment a man decides, this is who I am, something else happens immediately. He creates tension, not because he's aggressive, but because he's defined. When you stand for something, some people will disagree. Some will misunderstand you. Some may even reject you. This is where most men step back, not because they lack values, but because they want approval. 2, courage. Living what you know. Knowing your values is one thing. Living them is another. This is where courage comes in. Courage is not loud. It's not dramatic. It's quiet. It looks like saying what you mean, holding your boundaries, walking away when necessary, not explaining yourself endlessly. It also looks like risk. Risk of losing approval, risk of being misunderstood, risk of standing alone. The moment you stand for something, you risk losing something. Approval, comfort, belonging. That's the trade-off. So many men stay silent, not because they are weak, but because they are afraid of that loss. But the cost of avoiding that risk is something deeper. You lose yourself. And over time, that creates resentment, because you are living a life that is not yours. Courage is the price of self-respect. The man who hides. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. A man knows what bothers him in a relationship, but he doesn't say it. He wants to keep the peace. A man knows he's being disrespected at work, but he laughs it off. He doesn't want conflict. A man knows he's living below his potential, but he stays comfortable. He tells himself it's fine. From the outside, he looks stable, but internally, something is off, because he is not standing. He is adapting. The consequence of not standing. When a man avoids standing for something, he becomes invisible, not to others, but to himself. he loses. Direction, respect, confidence, because all three come from alignment, not performance, not approval, alignment. When a man does not stand for anything, he slowly disappears, not physically, but internally. He becomes whatever the situation requires. He agrees when he shouldn't. He tolerates what he doesn't respect. He adjusts himself to avoid discomfort. And over time, he loses something important: his sense of self. Respect is not built by pleasing people. It is built by consistency. When a man knows where he stands, others may disagree, but they know he is real. Respect comes from alignment, a different kind of strength. The strongest men are not the loudest. They are not the most aggressive. They are not the most dominant. They are the most aligned. They know what they believe, and they live it calmly, consistently, without needing to prove it. Take a moment and ask yourself, what do I stand for? Not what sounds good, not what looks impressive. What do I actually stand for? And more importantly, where am I not living it? If this kind of reflection resonates with you, stay connected to this space. We're not here to perform masculinity. We're here to understand it. The quiet shift, when a man becomes clear and begins to live that clarity, something changes. He stops chasing validation. He stops over-explaining himself. He stops needing approval to feel solid and people notice. Not because he is louder, but because he is grounded. Masculinity is not something you perform. It is something you align with. You don't need to prove it. You need to live it. When a man knows what he believes and has the courage to act on it, he becomes steady, not perfect, not dominant, steady. And steady men are rare. That's why they are respected. Alignment is the core of masculinity. All right, let's close here. You don't need more advice. You don't need more performance. You don't need to become someone else. You need to become clearer and then braver, because masculinity is not built through appearance. It is built through alignment. And once a man finds that, he doesn't need to ask what it means to be a man anymore. He already knows.